Galamera, Galamera, Galamera. Good morning, good morning, good morning. And what a morning it is. Horrible weather last night. Looking over at the moment to the hills, it looks like I'm looking over to the Welsh Black Mountains at the moment, to be quite honest. The cloud is right down. It's misty on the top. So I wouldn't want to be walking up there at the moment, and just basically a very, very grim and not too nice day. And I'm afraid that's going to be reflected in the news this morning. But that's the view across from the back of the house, looking towards Kerry and Amberlockaby. It's not looking good. And as we look up into the skies, it is just very, very ominous skies at the moment. The old chickens are clucking about. In fact, I actually managed to pick one of them up this morning. Actually picked a chicken up because she come in the house, cheeky one. They're smart. I'll tell you, chickens are smart. There goes Sandy rushing away. Again, looking over towards there, we've got a fire over there in the hills. I think somebody's still doing their olives and burning what's left of their wood from trimming the trees. But anyway, at the whole, yeah, it's a pretty grim looking day today. And looking towards the direction of Sillery, it's still looking grim over there as well. Anyway, big shout out to Paul over there in Volymez. Nice to have you looking in, fella. Volos. I hope you're all right where you are at your part of Greece, up there in the Peloponnese. Also, Maria Hallberg is looking in. This is probably a lovely warm day for you, compared to where you are in Sweden at the moment. But anyway, that's a quick look at the weather. I'm waiting to see what's her name's weather will be like, concise weather from the lovely Amanda if she's up this morning. Big shout out to Danielle Rogers. Nice to see you tuning in as well, my lovely. So, and Maureen Elves is looking in as well, and Amanda is here, so I'm looking forward to your weather forecast, my darling. Right, let's get down to the news, because to be honest, the news today is, as we expected, we've been moved in the category now for COVID infections. So, and plus we've got other news as well for you, but I'm going to get straight down to things straight away. Right, first of all, believe it or not, it's the 20th of March today. It's Saturday. I can't believe how quickly this year or this month has been shooting by. It's now day 134 in the lockdown for us. And the COVID stats for the last 24 hours are as follows. They are down, which is good. Yesterday, I reported to you we had 3,073, which I think at the time was a bit of a record at the time. However, the new infection rate yesterday has dropped new figures are 2,785. So again, that means it's come down a bit. The total amount of infections since everything started was 233,079. 51% of those are male. And at the moment, as for infection coming into the country, that is up. Yesterday, I reported to you there were 4 positive cases detected at borders. It rose yesterday to 16. Now, according to the national stats yesterday, there were 3 new cases on Lefkada. There were 3 new cases on Kefalonia. There were 7 cases on Corfu, and Zakynthos had 11 new cases. Now, locally reported, the number is 7, and I think the numbers that I give you, the 11, is basically a catch up from yesterday. But anyway, yesterday on Friday, there were 7 new cases reported here on Zakynthos. 4 of them were located in tests in private clinics, all right? 1 was located by the Greek Mobile Health, or the COMI, and the other 2 were from the hospital. And the 2 from the hospital were a 46-year-old woman and a 56-year-old man who went to the hospital feeling symptoms, tested positive, and obviously they've been sent home to home quarantine as well. So that means Zakynthos has had, since the beginning of the year, 191 positive cases. And this month alone, we have had 91 cases for the month of March. We had 70 in February, 30 in January, and 91 this month. So you can understand why they put us into the higher level of red, all right, at the moment. Anyway, I'll come on to that in a short while. There's also been an increase in deaths across the country. Yesterday, I reported that we had 45 new deaths. As of yesterday, we've had 64 new deaths, bringing the total death count now since the pandemic started to 7,361. The average age of people passing away is 79 years of age, and 96.4% of those people had underlying health problems or were over the age of 70. So, just to put that in context, the average daily death rate in 2019 for Greece was 329 deaths a day right across the country. As for deaths here on Zakynthos, we did have one this week. That was an 80-year-old woman. We've had 2 this month in March, and we had 1 in February, which was a 70-year-old woman. So again, to the family that lost just the other day, the 80-year-old, our condolences to them. So at the moment, critical cases, they're on the up, and this is the main issue. I did report last time there were 645 critical cases across Greece. And as today, the number is now 649 critical cases in ICUs across the country. 437 of those are male and 212 of those are female. Right, now, going to go on to the local news at the moment. The Kerry, yesterday, their community at the moment is in mourning and in shock at the death of a 45-year-old man. Now, according to initial information, the 45-year-old had gone with his friends to the mountains in Kerry. Obviously, didn't say why they'd gone, but obviously they were going to go hunting from the sounds of it. And he'd obviously fired his shotgun and as a result had shot himself in the leg, specifically into the femoral artery. Anyway, the unfortunate man was taken by his friends in a car and rushed to the hospital. However, he later succumbed to his injuries at the hospital. Now, the unfortunate man, who's 45 years of age, he's a father of 2, and he has 2 small children. Now, later on, last night, there was further news from the police about the story. They said, according to newer information late last night, the 45-year-old was actually found seriously injured in the femoral artery inside a warehouse in the house of a fellow villager in the village of Kerry. Anyway, the noise of the weapon going off and these cries of help alerted his friends who were nearby. They then put him into the car. They transported him to the hospital at Zakynthos, where he was later pronounced dead. As for the weapon, it seems the weapon wasn't the unfortunate man's, but it belonged to a fellow villager. Obviously the police are continuing their investigation at the moment. Anyway, our condolences to the family at this time. And once again, we'll see what the outcome is from that story. Right, now, moving on again back to COVID, and I've got to be honest, the news yesterday took a long time to sift through it and collate it because there is kind of confusion, and this will probably be made apparent with my last story, which will kind of make you go, aha, I understand what's going on here. But anyway, I'll work my way through it and obviously try and make things a little bit clearer for you. And I have had to take the news from about 4 different sources to muddle my way through to get the overall proper picture. So if you just go to one news site, you might be confused by looking at what they're saying. But when you look at in context with other news sites, then you get a clearer picture of to what's going on at the moment in regards to especially Zakynthos' situation now with the increased level red. Anyway, it was announced yesterday by the Greek Minister for Civil Protection, Nikos Haliadis, that after a unanimous decision by the Committee of Infectious Diseases, Zakynthos re-enters the deep red status due to the increased epidemiological burden on the island, which you've got to be honest, is fair. All right. Now, most of the existing measures that we are already in will stay the same, and they don't really affect us too much. They more affect areas like Athens and Thessaloniki, who again are in the high level of red, the same as we are now, but because of their location and because they're a metropolis, some of the measures that's been put into their areas doesn't really affect us here on the island. So things are still very much the same, if that's making things sound like common sense. Anyway, as it says in the media I've been looking at, most of the existing measures here in Zakynthos will remain in place, and there's not much of a change. So as of 6 a.m. this morning, Zakynthos is in deep red. The new measures as far as Zakynthos is concerned are as follows, all right? First of all, the new measures that apply to all of Greece and to Zakynthos have not changed much here on the island. Now, let me just remind you of what we are in now. I'm getting confused myself. Anyway, citizens will only be allowed to travel within the municipality of their residence as per the existing measures. So we've already been in that. Basically, you can't leave the island unless it is for medical reasons, all right? You can move around the island, but it's obviously you move around at your peril. If you're deciding that you want to go shopping to a little supermarket up the north end of the island and you live down the south end of the island, that might be deemed an unnecessary journey because you could get what you wanted close to where you live. If you're going to go from the north end of the island down to Lidl, that would be kind of an accepted journey. So again, it's common sense as to where you're moving about as to how the police may interpret your movement as being a necessary journey to an unnecessary journey. All right. Also at the moment, the schools, which are already closed, and they will remain closed until the 29th of March. And by then, we're still in the deep red status. So there's no change at the moment with the schools at the moment. They're going to stay closed until March the 29th. Every day throughout the country, the curfew, which is to be from 9 o'clock till 5 o'clock in the morning. We've already been on that curfew of 9 o'clock till 5 o'clock. In Athens and places like that, they had a curfew from 7 o'clock up until 5 o'clock in the morning. But that curfew is being lifted slightly because they still want to give people a bit more of a relaxation on things. And this is a confusing thing. 1 minute you're being locked down and then the government is saying we're trying to lift measures because we know people are fed up with being locked down. All right. So it's that strange Greekness. That little contradiction that seems to come into play from time to time, and that's one of them. So our curfew, just to make this clear, is still from 9 o'clock at night until 5 o'clock in the morning, even though we are now in deep red. So no change there. All right. Now, the reopening of hairdressers and beauty centres will take place on Monday. Again, they've been closed while we've been in the lower state of red, but they're now going to reopen as of Monday. Now, the thing that doesn't affect us, all right, is the reopening of outdoor archaeological areas. That's not affecting us. We haven't got any real archaeological areas at the moment. So they're going to be reopening at the moment as of Monday. So that's for areas like Athens, obviously, and around that area as well. Now, visits, of course, this is to do with them. If you are going to go out and visit an archaeological site, you'd actually put an SMS number 6, which is exercise, onto your phone to go out. And they have got strict measures in place for people visiting those sites. But I'm not going to go into that because it's of no relevance for us here. However, what is of relevance to us is Code 6, which is exercise. For exercise, you can only go on foot or by bike, no driving your car to a location to start exercise. Well, that's been in play now for the last week or so, last couple of weeks. So again, no real change there. And remember, you're only allowed to really exercise around the location of your home, all right? So you cannot get in your car, drive off somewhere. It's either on foot or on bike that you're allowed to cycle away from your home, all right? Not by car to start your walk on the beach, all right? Just to make that clear. Right, now, as for the churches, They're allowing, again, there's no real change on this, one faithful person, as they call them, one parishioner per square 25 metres, and a limit of 20 believers for the Orthodox Sunday services allowed inside the churches. And also for the 25th of March as well, there's special services for the independence of Greece against the Ottomans. Only 20 people will be allowed into churches for that. So it's literally a first come, first served. And also on the greetings of the Virgin Mary. I'm not sure what date that is, but anyway, they're only allowing 20 people into churches on that date. Now, it seems that priests and other people who work in the church, they will be subject to rapid testing, and also visitors to the church as well, so that if you go to church, don't be too surprised that you get tested before you go to church, all right? Now, the other crazy little law, that lifting of a measure that's come in, is that on your code 6, you are allowed to go fishing. Yes, you're allowed to go fishing on code 6 as long as you're a resident of a coastal municipality. So that means if you live in town, all right, where you're in the municipality of the town, you would be allowed to go with your fishing rod and sit there on the harbour and do a bit of fishing. But if you live up here in Macardo, you could not drive down to town with your fishing rod and go fishing there. You would be in contravention of your code 6. So anyway, that is the sort of kind of clearing up the restrictions and non-restrictions that we have here on the island now that we are in the deep red. Anyway, Akis, the Deputy Minister to the Prime Minister, announced that Greece will offer free rapid coronavirus tests to anyone in pharmacies across the country, so that a true picture of the current epidemiology burden is actually shown. So now it seems that pharmacies, after me going the other day and checking with the pharmacies now are going to be able to conduct tests actually in the pharmacy if you want one. And according to this, the tests are now going to be free. So all those people who were having issues about getting tests from coming back from the UK and obviously having to pay for tests to prove that they're clear of the virus to be allowed out from their quarantine, well, I think that question has been now answered for you. I don't know how quickly the pharmacies are going to get these tests in. I do know the pharmacies have been testing themselves, all right, because of the amount of people that come in and out of their pharmacies through the day. The pharmacies have been testing themselves, but not the public. So again, it might not be much of a switch around for them to actually have to do that. But again, we'll keep an eye on that, and I'll also talk to me friendly pharmacies to find out how things are. Right. Again, going back to more COVID-related news, 24 members of staff and 20 patients at the Metaxa Oncology Hospital in Piraeus, they tested positive for coronavirus 19. And obviously, Piraeus is very close to us here in Zakynthos. It's the nearest city to us. And a number of the patients who tested positive are being treated within the hospital, where the 6th floor has been converted into a self-contained COVID clinic or unit. And 24 staff who tested positive are now being quarantined there. Anyway, another thing just to bear in mind is that it was announced yesterday, and I think I actually did cover this, that the platform opened in Greece for people with very high risk illnesses to make a vaccination appointments. And then in this category, they reckon there's about 250,000 people across the country in that category. So if you want to make an appointment to get a vaccine, the best thing really to do is to go to your local pharmacy, go and see them. They will book you in an appointment. When those appointments will start at the moment, I'm not 100% sure, but obviously you will be informed. And it's probably easier to go there than probably to go to KEP or even to your accountant, because they can book your appointment as well. But just go to your pharmacy and get them to book your appointment. All right. So that make it easy for you. Anyway, also interestingly as well, I'm going to talk about Paris now and France. Paris and another 15 departments within France are to enter lockdown from midnight last night. They went in due to data indicating that that country at the moment is entering a third wave of COVID-19 infections, with 35,000 new cases being recorded in the last 24 hours. Now, the lockdown will last a month. And because of this, the French President Emmanuel Macron has cancelled his visit to Athens on the 25th of March to the bicentennial Greek War of Independence celebrations and parade. Now, the cancellation of Macron's visit is a bit of a blow for the organisers, who are preparing an impressive military parade in Athens on the 25th of March. I told you he's going to have his parade. However, interestingly, Prince Charles and the Prime Minister of the Russian Federation, Mikhail Mishustin, are going to be attending, all right, along with the President of Cyprus, Nicholas and Astantonides. They're all going to be attending. I'm also looking at the programme for Prince Charles and the Duchess of Cornwall. He's also going to be going to a wreath-laying ceremony as well to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, which is in Sant'Agnes Square, which is also going to take place. And they're also going to be at the traditional military parade, which is going to take place on the 25th of March. Anyway, the parade, if you remember, was cancelled last year because of the coronavirus, and this year it will take place with all necessary restrictions. So basically, it might be marching up and down with everybody in their houses looking out through the windows, because you're not allowed on the street in gatherings of more than 100, and that will keep the protesters away probably. But anyway, we shall wait and see. But interestingly, it seems Greece had extended the invitation, obviously, to Mr. Putin to come. All right. He'd obviously declined the invitation, which everybody thought, well, why would you invite him? But he is sending his prime minister. So the prime minister of Russia is coming. And the reason why the French and the British and the Russians were invited, because they were all allies together when they had the big fight against the Ottomans. And the culminating battle was the Battle of Navriano, which was against the Ottoman Navy. There was a big confusion about how this battle started. Somebody fired a cannon and that was it. Everybody started firing. Anyway, the upshot was the Turkish Navy was completely destroyed, which then obviously stopped them being able to present their power. And also, basically, they'd lost control of Greece by that time. And interestingly, if you ever come to Zakynthos, go and check out the Sylvie Maritime Museum. All right, because up there's some really interesting information and artifacts of maritime history. And one of the things they do concentrate quite a bit on is the Battle of Navriano, because the vessels sailed from here around this Zakynthos and around the Kefalonia towards the Peloponnese for that battle to take place. And I think if I remember rightly, it was the final battle to take place under sail before obviously the advent of steam came. So again, interesting military story there, interesting military history. And as I said to you all along, he's going to have his parade, come hell, come high, except the French are not coming now. And they were so keen for this. It was unbelievable. Macron couldn't wait to get the French Air Force involved in that parade. But it looks like, no, it is not going to happen. Anyway, and finally, a nice and finally story for you. And I found this one yesterday. Ancient Greeks and their love and respect of dogs. Where does that date from? Well, I discovered yesterday that the ancient Greeks had a great love and a respect of their dogs. They cherished them as companions and protectors and hunters, and evidenced by several dog tombstones that have been discovered over the centuries. Anyway, the most well-known story about the relationship between ancient Greeks and their pet canines comes from Homer's Odyssey. Yeah, written as early as 800 BC, is a story of the unending loyalty that dogs showed to man. Anyway, Argos, or better known as the Slow One, he was a dog, and he was the loyal friend of King Odius. Now, his master finally returned home after being away on this adventure of trying to get back from the Trojan Wars, and came back in disguise, all right? So basically he come to check at what had been going on in his kingdom and also within his court, as a lot of suitors had been coming over trying to win the hand of his wife Penelope, because they then would have taken the throne. Anyway, Argos recognised Odius when he turned up and started wagging his tail and started being, oh, he's back, I'm here, I've been waiting for you for 20 years. He must have been an old dog, no wonder he was a slow one. So anyway, as Odius started wagging his tail and getting all excited that his master had returned, Odius ignored him, because Odius was worried that because the dog recognised him, the other people around him would say, oh my God, he's back, oh shit, whoa, and they would probably try and kill him. So because Odius didn't acknowledge his dog, the dog was so upset that the dog actually just laid down and died. And because he'd been ignored. Oh, bless. What a tragic story. However, the great philosopher Socrates himself saw wisdom in dogs. All right. He claimed that dogs are true philosophers because they distinguish the face of a friend and of an enemy only by the criteria of knowing and not knowing. There you go. And concluded that dogs want to learn things because learning, they determine what they like and what they do not, based upon the knowledge of the truth. So in other words, dogs are a good judge of character. All right. Socrates said that dogs has learned who is a friend and who is not, based on that knowledge, respond appropriately, while human beings often are deceived as to who their true friends are. Very true indeed. Anyway, the philosopher Diogenes of Sinope, also who lived from 1412 to 323 BC, called himself the dog, all right, explaining why he chose the name of an animal for himself. And he replied, because I fawn upon those who give me anything and bark at those who give me nothing, and I bite the rogues. So there you go. That's the reason why dogs and Greeks do have a kind of relationship. But anyway, let's have a quick look at some of the comments that are coming in. I see people, and also looking forward to what Amanda's weather forecast is. Rachel, nice to see you here. Lovely Rachel Hanson. Mary Hallberg, Paul Bruff as well is here. Danielle Rogers, lovely to see you, Danielle. Maureen Elves is also watching as well. Amanda Gregory is watching. Karen Bush is watching as well. Amanda says, good morning, Ginge. Rain expected for today. Yeah, I think you could be right there. Low grey clouds, and we're on amber alert. Amber alert. Highs of 17 degrees. Have a fab day. Well, we'll make the best of it, that is for sure. Stacey Dean is watching as well. John Atherton is watching. Rose Wood is watching. Paul Mason is watching as well. Chris Clark is watching. Steve Hinkling over there in sunny Stoke-on-Trent. Gallimera, I hope you enjoyed your day out yesterday. Oh yeah, we did. We went shopping yesterday. We had a lovely time shopping. There we go. Julie Meldrum is watching as well. Julie Meldrum says, good morning, have a good weekend. Thank you, my darling. Sheila Worthington is watching as well. Jane didn't get a chance to say hello to you yesterday. She's too busy gabbing to someone else in the car park, but she sends her regards. Karen Thompson is watching. Carol Davis is watching. Here we go. The tests at the pharmacy, she says, are rapid tests to take home. Think the pharmacies are actually doing them, and I think you need a PCR test to come out of quarantine. Thank you for that, Sheila. I will check on that. Thank you for that little bit of information. Cheers, my darling. I shall check that again. But anyway, basically, the pharmacies are doing testing, but they're making you bring the kit home to test yourself. And how good will you be at using that kit? We will wait and see. I'd rather get a professional to do it than me worrying about it. Morning, buddy. And also, that's Tim Crystal saying that. Nice to see you, Tim. I hope the pain has subsided from yesterday. Susie Angus is watching as well. Nice to see you. Tracy Mitchell's watching. Tracy says, good morning to you. Maria Haddelberg says, good morning, Ginge. I'd rather sit over there with those clouds than here with my view of the snow. Here, we have a self-test kit for COVID-19 that we book, and someone can pick it up for you at the pharmacy. So that's what they're doing in Sweden. That's interesting. Someone can pick it up for you at the pharmacy, and you can do the test, and someone leave it at the pharmacy again in the same day. Isn't it possible over there? Have a lovely day. To be honest, that's a good point, actually. We'll have to look at how this, it sounds like they've got a self-testing kit being given by the pharmacies. We'll wait and see, to be honest. It's early days yet. When I spoke to the pharmacy the other day, they didn't do testing. So they may have tested themselves, but they didn't test the public, and it was the clinics that were doing the testing and the laboratories that do the testing. So again, we'll wait and see how that all sort of works out, because we're in interesting times at the moment. And Karen Bush says, "Hi, Ginge, have a great day. Blooming cold over here." Bless you, Karen. Nice to see. Right, I'm going to cut it short there. Once again, can I just say thank you to all those people who tuned in yesterday. To my broadcast from Studio One. The music show was just, I tell you what, some of the tunes that people are asking for, it was such a pleasure, such a joy. And then dance anthems that I did yesterday night from beachradio.co.uk. Thank you to all those people that are hanging around in the chat area. Big shout out to Exmoor, to the lovely Shane up there. And I did actually stay tuned into Beach Radio for the rest of the night, and there was people jumping in and out all the time. Thank you for Ben Warner. Thank you for the compliments as well about everything that we're trying to do with the radio station. It's fantastic. I really do appreciate those. And again, thank you to all those people tuning into beachradio.co.uk and seem to be really enjoying it. I've got to say a quick hello to Jane Sharp. She says, "I love your broadcast." Thank you, my lovely. Dave Matthews is watching as well. Jackie Baker is watching as well. Nice to see you, Jackie. Is that my cousin? I'm just trying to work out. Jackie Finch. I'm just trying to wonder if that could be. But anyway, I've got to say, I've got to go. We've got things to do today. We've got a little one who's not too well at the moment, and we've got some admin stuff to sort out. But you take care. Once again, don't forget to book in and book out on your old SMX. I know it's a pain in the arse. And even though we're in deep red at the moment, there's no real change, to be honest. No real change. It's all paranoia and craziness at the moment, and it can be confusing, but we'll just do as we're told. Don't rock the boat, and we'll get through all of this. And hopefully the main thing is that we're getting closer and closer to April, and is when April everything normally starts to get geared up, ready for the season. And so we shall wait and see what transpires. Anyway, looks like Mr. Mitsotakis is having his parade without the French, so he must be sort of slightly weeping into his cornflakes this morning. But anyway, we shall see what transpires. Anyway, enjoy yourselves, have a great day, stay safe, and I'll keep my ear to the ground. Ta-ra.